Hi everyone. I'm Christina Arakaki. I'm the personal records supervisors. Some of you probably have seen me before. I've been with Rec and Park since 2001. But not in HR. So anyway, we're gonna talk about briefly at the beginning of this training would be the packets. I know, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we actually did update the packet right before the pandemic, but then we couldn't hire last year, so we weren't even able to use it. So I'm going to share it real quick as to where to find it. Just so you know, all the forms are now in one document, so you can just download one whole document instead of like each file. Some are PDF, some are Word. Also, they're all fillable. So let me show you real quick, and I'll go from there. Hold on. Give me 1 second. All right. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the internet, or we call it Wrap Intra. So this is the main page right here, and you'll find the part-time hiring package in the same space, same click as the last few years. So if you click on it, you'll see it's a little bit different than the years before. So this part, actually, this language right here, this was updated last year. So I'm going to have to go through that and actually update it for this year, but it should be pretty much the same except for the W4. So I'll just scroll down real quick.
Are you in the bathroom? No.
If you guys can please mute yourselves, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. So right here on the last bullet, if you want to look at packet updates of any of the packets that you have submitted to us, if you click on it, it actually will give you, sorry, there's no log. It was working earlier. We'll update it, but the log actually shows the status of your packets. Sorry about that. I actually tested that earlier. But anyhow, so that's how you can see what the status of your packet is. And under the standard employment packet, every single applicant or part-time applicant should have the hiring packet, which is number 2, which has everything that's common in every kind of packet. So instead of splitting it this time, we put it in one. So if you click on it, this is a new packet now. It has a checklist. It has a place for, it actually has a place for the point person or whoever's checking the packet. So for example, in this part, you just check it off just to make sure that you have everything, right? So the other side is for us. The blue boxes are for us to check to make sure you submitted every single thing. So here's the new NOA. Here's the new application. It's fillable. It's easier. You can email it to the applicants. The only thing here is that they need to sign it. And I know during the pandemic, it's a little bit hard. So what you can do is actually have them electronically sign it. But when on their first day, just have them sign a real signature on their actual first day, and then send it to us. So here's the conditional job offers. Everything, I'll just go real quick. It's the same forms. I'll stop in something here. The driver's license control, it is important to mark yes if they are required to drive, because what this does is that we put it in a database with DMV, and if someone has a suspended license, they will alert us. So if we put no and you let them drive, it's a liability for Rec and Parks or for the city. So it is important that we actually know if they are driving or not, and what you're planning with them. So if you check no, and later on you need them to drive, please submit an updated driver's license control with their license as well. So I'll just keep scrolling. Here's the live scan form. This one is important for them to read and actually sign. And in another link, I'll show you, they get a copy of the same form. So right here, when you print it out, here's the screening, the TB screening report, and you can just tape or glue the yellow sheet on this so you don't forget, and we don't lose it as well because it's half sheets. So You just keep scrolling, it's the same stuff. It just looks a little different because we made it fillable. W4 is updated to this year. So, so make sure that whatever packet you submit from now on, it says 2021. So whatever packets you have that you've printed, please replace it with this version. So I'll just scroll down all the way. The I-9's in there. I-9's the same as last year. So that's the whole regular packet. Now, the first part where it says hiring packet part 1 handouts for applicants to keep, please make sure that you either email this to them or print it out and give it to them. This is informational for them. Okay, so that's the live scan stuff and everything else that they need to have in their possession. So at least we can cover ourselves that we actually gave it to them. Now, on the first day of once they're hired and on their first day on the job, please make sure that these are done. And that's the DSW training and also the sexual harassment policy. So we will be following up from now on with you guys if these were both done. And let us know if there's going to be a delay or anything like that. So we're giving about 30 days. So if we don't see it, we will follow up with you just to make sure that all employees are trained. Now, the second part of this website is, or the internet, is the employment packet attachments. So different MOUs, different classifications, they have different requirements. In your case, it's a recreation assistant. There's childcare also, childcare, day camp director, recreation assistant, and recreation instructor. This is where the offering of hours paperwork actually come in. So if you click on this, this is where the roster is, the declination form, and the confirmation. So make sure that you have that for all recreation assistants, and for all recreation instructor is just a confirmation form that you need to sign. And you can see all the other stuff here like sample bulletin, but I know you guys already have your own bulletins or your own sample bulletins. The answer key to the DSW test or quiz is on here. So if you need to check their test, then you can get the answers from here. So that's that. And I'm just going to quickly give you this website. This is our own Rec and Parks website. So if you go to laparks.org, it has all our facilities and all that. I'm sure you visited it. But under About Us is jobs. So it's laparks.org/jobs. All the bulletins that you submit, we ask systems to actually post it here. As you can tell, there's nothing in recreation at this time because we have not posted anything yet. So now I'm going to go to the offering of hours. So hang on, because it is a lot of information. I know a lot of you have been familiar, have done this before, but at the same time, I want to make it clear because when we do get packets, we've noticed that things are being done differently in different facilities. So let's make it so that everybody does it the same way according to the MOU. So that's MOU 7, I think it's Article 9. So sorry about that. Okay. So let me just give you some terms here. On the MOU, it's this assignment of hours, and I think it's known to us as offering of hours. Home park is wherever the facility, or whatever facility a recreation was originally hired. I know this is very confusing for a lot of people because rec assistants keep accepting hours from other facilities to the point they forget where they were hired. And directors change, rec coordinators change. So there is a confusion as to where they are. And unfortunately, we don't have a list of where people, home parks are, except for the newer applications we've received because we've been putting that on our log. Intermittent, there is a confusion as to what an intermittent means. There are two kinds of part-time employees. Everyone who does not work 80 hours like all of us here, or most of us here, there are two kinds of part-time, intermittent and half-time. Intermittent is what I think in Rec and Parks we call as part-time. The part-time term is actually incorrect. It's actually called intermittent, and anyone who gets 1,000 hours in one service here become half-time. So I just want to clarify that if you hear intermittent, that means part-time is what you guys know. Seasonal employees, anyone who work predominantly during school break. So these employees shouldn't be receiving a lot of hours or working a lot of hours, because they should just only be working during the summer, winter break, spring break, and I think Halloween, or some special events. 0 hours, when we have 0 hours, it's employees, part-time employees who have not worked in one service year. As you may know or probably noticed, we have not zeroed anyone out during the pandemic, and we have stopped that, I think, as of August. So if anyone who has not worked since, I'm sorry, I think it's October, but October of 2019. So anyone who didn't work since then, we have not taken them off unless there's other reasons as to why we should be taking them off. But just because of 0 hours, we're not taking them out right now. We will be starting again soon, since we're offering hours to employees. And so we'll start counting again, and we will let you guys know when that is. 800 report. I'm not really sure why this is called 800 report, but this is a report published on Wrap Interest showing part-time employees' total hours per service year. So I know we've gotten complaints as to this, how this report is posted, because sometimes it has duplicate names or it has incorrect information. So if you do see that, please let us know so we can work with systems, because this is run by them bi-weekly. So please let me know, or you can email us and let us know that this is incorrect so we can have them update it and check it. Okay, so this is where the 800 report is. On the internet, on the last, it's a mainframe support. It's under personnel and part-time halftime or intermittent halftime service hours report. So when you click on that, it will ask you for username and password. That's 800 and 800. And this is what you want to use, is the top part of it, not the halftime one. For offering hours, you need a top part where it says part-time employee service hours status report. This is what it looks like in there. I mean, there's thousands of names, but I just cut and paste a portion of it. So this is how you will see the hours that they have done. The current year that means it's the year that they're actually in at the moment. Their service year has not ended yet. Last service year is the one that was completed last year. I know it's all different for each employee because it depends on their anniversary date or entry date. Okay, so now I know you guys are all eager to hire rec assistants because it's been a while and you guys need help. So according to the MOU Article 9.1, we have to offer hours to all of recreation assistants, existing recreation assistants, before we can even hire from the world, basically, and from other classifications. Like, you can't class change anyone if you don't offer hours to existing recreation assistants. Okay, so we're going to talk about defining the rosters, procedure for assignment of hours within your recreation center or facility, and also the procedure for assignment of hours outside a recreation center or a facility. So defining the roster. All intermittent recreation assistants must be placed on their home park's facility roster. So each roster must have all your intermittent recreation assistants, not halftime employees. I know some of you actually list your halftime employees in the roster. That's fine. You don't have to put their hours, though, because we don't count their hours when we offer any available jobs or work or hours for them. So you must actually think of your halftime employees first when hours are available, because they have a minimum number of hours that they need to meet to keep their benefits. So make sure that they are keeping the benefits that way, and you offer it to them. There are no other documents need to be sent or to be done when it comes to halftime employees. So now you go into the intermittent employees. When you have your intermittent recreation assistants, you have to place all of them in a roster. Each roster must be posted annually at your facility. So I know you guys have your bulletin boards. Make sure it's posted there. Revised rosters are done in January and July. This is all according to MOU. And you must update your employees' hours in January and July, and add new recreation assistants you've hired in the past, and delete recently transitioned half-time employees. So anyone who has transitioned in between the last roster and when you were you're editing it, then you have to take them off your list, and also delete the people or employees that we have zeroed out. So if you see people that have not worked in 365, I'll answer questions after I'll look at the chat. So if you see recreation assistants that have not worked in 1 year and you need to zero them out, please don't forget to submit a 900. If you don't, though, don't think we're not going to catch on, because we will run a report. It's just not as quickly as if you would send us the 900, but we will run a report, and anyone who has not worked in 1 year of their service year, then we will actually take them off payroll without even letting you know. So you might want to check before you start working people, especially if they have not worked in a long time. So the roster has different columns, right? So it's divided into 3. One is your 600 or more employees. One is the 599 or less, and the other one is the seasonal employees. So every single roster must reflect your record assistant's names and their anniversary date of hire. Again, this is for intermittent. So I'm going to explain this to you right here as to what first service year, second service year, and third service year means. So this should not, this should not actually reflect their current service year. If they're in and they're in 5 months in or 6 months in their service year, you should not put those hours in on the roster. What you have to put are anything that's completed service year. So first service year means employees last completed service year, or on the 800 report, it's the column that says last service year hours, and it's actually gets the title on it. This number is included in your total hours when you rank people. This is what this equals to. First service year is exactly what's listed on the last service year. I know it's a little confusing because it's named differently. I'll try to see if I can switch one of them so that we can make them the same. Second service year means the 2 years prior. So completed service year 2 years prior. So the one before the last. So 2 years ago, basically. And then the third means 3 years ago. I'm going faster than the slides, but it's 3 years ago, as this is. So the reason third is gray is because you don't count that in the total number of hours. So on your total number of hours column, it is the sum of the first and second service year, not the third. That's why third is gray. The number to consider, this is a number to consider when you rank. It's not the first, second, or third. It's a total number of hours. That's how you rank them. It's not changing. My screen, is it changing? I'm sorry, it's delayed on my side. Okay, so how do you actually rank? I'm sorry, guys. It's actually not working for me right now. Hold on a second. All right, I'm back. So this is how what I was trying to say. When you say first and second, those are the two that you actually have to add. These two right here, which on the 800 report are these two right here. You add it and you put it onto this column. You don't count this gray box right here. You don't count any of it. That's only for qualifying purposes. And I'll explain it more. The reason that's gray is how you can tell if they're supposed to be on the 600 or more is not because of the total number of hours. If an employee has 600 or more hours in any of those 3 years, they fall automatically in the 600 or more roster. I know this is where everyone gets confused. So basically, if you have 600 on the third, second, or first year, any of those years, then they go automatically into the 600 or more roster. And within that list is actually rank them if you add the first and second columns, and that's where it goes to the total, and that's how you rank your employees. I know you guys are going to have questions about this later, but that's how it is. And same thing with the 599 or less. So if you have employees that obviously does not have, if you have employees who do not have 600 or more in any of those 3 years, then they actually fall under 599 or less, except for seasonal employees. So how do you know? So this is exactly how it shows how you go 600 or 599. So when an hours become available, you have to identify and log available hours in your logbook. Each facility must have their logbook so that you can always go back to it later on. Offer your hours to the rec assistants in roster order. So it's always important to have your roster ready. So when you have your offering of hours, you're going to go to your roster, look at it starting from the highest total, and you go all the way down. You offer it for the first person. If the first person says no, you go to the next person. You don't actually consider if they're qualified for that particular job. It doesn't matter what they can and cannot do. It is based on their hours. So this is for this part of it. If there are two people with the same exact total hours, then the tiebreaker is their anniversary date. All right, so employees are not, we call it declination form, but really all employees on your roster must be accounted for on this form. Whether they accepted or they didn't accept, they should be accounted for. There's a column for the I accept part. So we still call it declination form for some reason. However, I know it's during the pandemic. I know people have not been around and you're offering hours at this time. Even after the pandemic or even before, we will accept an email message from the employee, but you must list their name on this form. If they decline or accept whichever column they fall under, just put a note that says email attached. So we know that they replied and attached the email, and we will check that before we can actually even post any bulletins. Everyone on the 600 or more roster must be accounted for in this form. Sorry, I'm correcting myself. So it's everyone on the 600 or more, not everyone in your roster. So you don't need to list your 599. You don't need to list your half-time employees. You don't need to list your seasonal employees. But for yourself, if you want, just for your record, you can have half-time employees sign it if you'd like, but it's not required based on the MOU. So if you still need staff, because you've offered it to your existing 600 or more and half-time employees, then you have to offer it outside your facility. So this way, right, like this is where the bulletin comes in. So you should have only offered your hours to 600 or more roster, no one else. Well, and half-time, but no one else under the 599. So procedure for assignment of hours outside of your recreation center, you have to submit the following for our approval. It's bulletin, facility roster, and your declination form. Remember to attach your emails if applicable. The email to send it to is rap.ptrecords@lacity.org. This email is for anything part-time related. Several of us will check it if needed, and we monitor that email. So once we approve the bulletin facility roster and declination form, we will provide you with a bulletin confirmation number. You will need that confirmation number for the confirmation form. So bulletins will be posted only for 14 days. I know in the past we posted it longer, but we are now going to have an expiration date on it, and lastly to apply. It'll be 14 days from the day that we actually post it, so that we'll try to monitor it and take it down after the 14 days. So I know some of you will say, I need an extension or anything like that, but let us know if you're not getting any candidates. So who can apply when it comes to the bulletin? It's all recreation assistants from all facilities. All recreation assistants from your 599 roster or less, and your seasonal employees. And also, all the outside candidates that are non-city employees and as well as city employees that are not recreation assistants. So this is where it all comes in. All interested parties, they must submit an application or resume to the DIC. It depends on what your bulletin actually says. They must follow that. So when you receive, or if you receive a large number of applicants, you might actually get this year because of the pandemic. People might want to have more hours. With 600 or more hours, this is how you have to do it in order. It has to be with 600 or more hours in any of the last 3 years. The difference between this and earlier is that you may screen the applicants for specific skills and or experience, but you have to follow this order. So if you have 2 or 3 people with the same skills, you have to pick the one with the highest number. Even though you don't have a roster, you can see it in the 800 report. You can just quickly look at it. So this is the order you have to do: is 600 or more hours, 599 or less. That includes your 599 or less and other facilities. And then the third one is seasonal recreation assistance. That includes yours and other facilities. If no one there, if you cannot pick anyone from those 3, then you can actually now hire from the outside or class change somebody. But you must complete a hiring packet. It must be submitted to HR, and it must include a confirmation form. So here's the confirmation form. A lot of people also get confused on this. So you have to put who you picked. This is for someone who's not a recreation assistant. So you have to pick the name of the person you picked, your facility. The confirmation number is the one that I actually give you, and the date of posting. So we will let you know when we post the bulletin, because we will copy you on an email to systems. Are there any recreation assistant applicants? That's a yes or no answer. And if it's a yes, then that means you have to list all those recreation assistants and why you did not pick them, or if you picked them but you needed more. And then don't forget to sign it in your name. So that's the offering hours for recreation assistant. Recreation instructor, it's a lot easier. You have to submit a bulletin to HR for approval. We don't need to give you a confirmation number or anything, but your bulletin must include available hours and required skills. And if you send it to us, we'll review it just to make sure nothing is kind of off on the bulletin, and that it actually applies for recreation instructors. So we will ask systems, Recreation Park Systems, to post it on our website for 14 days, and we will copy you on that, so you will see it. Any existing recreation instructor with required expertise, whoever you're looking for, if it's volleyball or whatever it is that you want, yoga, then you must submit. They must submit an application to you, either application or resume to you. If you get a large number of applications for that particular bulletin, then you may screen candidates for their specific skills and experience at that point. Then if you can't find anyone with the existing recreation instructors, then that's the only time you can actually hire from outside candidates. But you must submit a complete hiring packet and include the confirmation form. The confirmation form, though, for instructors, it's easy. It's basically you're telling us you followed the procedure for hiring recreation instructors. So we just need you to sign it and put your name and date it. And that's basically it. There's no other thing that you need to do on that. So that's it for offering of hours for recreation assistant and also for hiring recreation instructors. But I'll take questions in a second. I just want you guys to know who your analysts are. I know we do have new regions, and we have not reflected that on here. Reason is we have not moved our analysts to assign to the new assignments, right, to the new regions. So right at this moment, it's Venice Beach, which I know is under West, right, Sonia? Venice Beach is Paula Ferrari. So anyone in, I think it's Venice Recreation Center. Paula is your analyst. Anyone in Valley and Shoreline, which I know is also partly West. Valley Shoreline, if you're in Shoreline, it's Sally at this time. Under Metro Recreation, it's Teresa Walker. So I've listed all their email addresses on here. And if you're under Pacific Recreation and also Expo Center, that's April Berry. We have other analysts not on here just because they don't handle recreation. This is just for the recreation staff. So if you have any issues with discipline or anything like that, or any questions, they should be able to assist you. And of course, Harold Fujita is our personal director, and Paula Ferrari is our senior personal analyst too, or assistant director. Also, I would like to share this with you guys because this is important. I think people have been sending emails to the wrong email addresses. So on the record side or on the clerical side, we have Eric Kurimoto is our chief clerk, and me, Christina Arcaki, is your personal records supervisor. So all of these are under us. So full-time records, always email rap@hrrecords@lacity.org. That is, if you have any questions, anything about full-time pay, or if you want to change your name or address or anything like that, make sure you actually email the correct email address. Part-time records, it's rap, I said this earlier, it's rap.ptrecords@lacity.org. If you have any, our certification is for, you probably have received emails from this every time we put out a cert, and you guys are invited to actually apply or to respond to a cert. So for any family medical leave questions, new family medical leave stuff, please email rap.hrfmla@lacity.org. I know there's another one out there, but please use this one. Also with workers' comp, it's rap.hrworkcomp@lacity.org, not the old one. I believe it's a combined FMLA and work comp. So please make sure you use these two right here. And for any verification, employment verification, I know your staff have given you forms. Please don't sign them. Please send them to rap.hrverifications@lacity.org. We will handle them. In some cases, employees might be, in some cases, our analysts might actually contact you for certain questions, but for the most part, especially if it's asking for their pay, if it's asking for their status, if it's asking for any of that, please send it to us, to this email address, and we will handle it. And you all know COVID-19 help desk. If you have any questions on COVID or anything COVID related, it's rap.hrcovid19@lacity.org. So those are your HR contacts. Now questions, I know you have a lot, and I think I have a lot on the chat too, right?
Yeah, I could read you some. So,
Sure.
So one question says, how do we know what facility an employee belongs to?
The employee.
What their home site is,
Yeah,
right?
ask
So
the
you have to ask the
employee. Ask the employee. It's actually a good idea to contact the home park, just to make sure that the employee has enough hours to work with you. Because if they're already working 20 hours in the other park, how are they going to work with you for another 10? Because they're going to go over their hours.
Christina, would their home park be the park that they do approve their
For the most
time?
part, yes. For the most part, yes. But I know that some directors have switched people and added themselves to be approvers for some employees, even though they're not the home park. So
Right.
the real answer is wherever they got hired originally, unless we reassign them. But if where they were hired originally. But yes, you can look at the timesheet, or you can ask them who signs the timesheet.
Another question is, employees move from park to park. Do we need to list employees that are from other parks?
On the roster? Is that the question? No, the roster is only for your people that you're the home park for.
Okay. Another question says, since pandemic, are we going to be relaxed for 0 hours this year if they did not work since halftime was given priority before part-timers? How does D-time transfer work if they don't get enough hours at home parks sometimes?
I actually said this earlier. We have not zeroed anyone out since this whole year of 2020, actually the whole year of 2020. Anyone who has not worked, I believe it was, I can't remember the cutoff, it was September, October, something like that. If they have not worked since of 2019, we have not zeroed them out.
Thank you. One more question says, so can we screen rec assistants for skills?
In your own home park?
That's
If it's your own home park, then no. No, I'm sorry, let me take that back. If it's your 600 or more recreation assistant, no. If it's at the beginning of the offering of hours, no. You can only screen them for skills if you already opened it up to outside.
Okay, got that. The PowerPoint is going to be shared when we're recording it, so I'll be sharing this afterwards with everybody. Sorry, you guys. I used the wrong link. This one only took 100, so I know a lot of people cannot get in, but as soon as we're done, I'll download it and I'll share it to everybody in Recreation Services branch.
Yeah, I actually noticed a couple of mistakes on the screen. So what I'm going to do is actually have this PowerPoint corrected and post it on where the packets are.
Okay,
So
good.
everyone can see it.
Someone, where do they find the new 900 form?
The new 900 form? We haven't posted it yet, but we can send it out.
Okay. Another question says, are we able to tell rec assistants they can't work another site or even go over 20 hours?
Yes. If you,
Yes.
okay, so if you need them and you're working them in 20 hours, you can actually decline them from going somewhere else because you're going to lose out, if you're using them the whole year and they pick up hours from another facility, you can tell that other director that the person cannot do that because then you need them as well. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You're the priority, basically.
Yeah, if they're your home site, you're the priority. Right. Question, I think we're in referring to what we asked earlier. How do we know where they were hired? Is there a code for each park, like the division number? There is a code, yes.
Well, division number actually covers several parks, not
The whole division, yeah.
It's not just a park. The only thing is the activity code, but it really just depends if the employee codes the timesheet correctly. If it's newer employee, like maybe the last couple of years, then I can tell you where they were hired. But for the ones that have been here for a long time, we would have to pull their folders to actually see where they were hired, if it's even listed.
Right. If you guys have a question, maybe you could reach out to your analyst to kind of figure out if you need to find out where it started. This is, I think, maybe a comment. MOU 7, Article 9, rec assistants who have worked 599 or less hours in any of the last 3 service years will be ranked in the order of the total number of hours worked in the last 2 service years.
Right.
Just a comment.
That's the whole roster.
Right.
That's the same as 600 and more.
If staff is unable or does not come to sign in and accept or decline forms, I think they're just responding to what you guys are talking about. Sorry. How long do we have to wait before we can move forward with hiring? The question just says that.
You mean like right now? Is that the question?
That's from Lizette. I don't know. I'll see if she has a follow-up. Who should halftime employees go to if temporary DIC has bypassed them and given hours to rec assistants from their home sites?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Who should halftime employees go to if the temporary DIC has bypassed them and given hours to rec assistants from their home? I think a lot of rec directors are all over, so maybe they're.
Yeah. Okay. So if that were to happen, I mean, they can go directly to the supervisors, or you can actually call HR, or they can call HR.
Okay. Can we send out a new declination sheet? Declination sheet on your page, Christina?
It's all in there.
Okay. So on the page, the HR page, there should be a declination sheet, you guys. If a halftime employee is scheduled to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, do we have to pay them for the Monday holidays?
You always have to pay a halftime employee. Is that a halftime employee?
Yeah.
Holiday, right? You
Yeah.
always have to pay a half-time employee if they work before and after the holiday,
So if they work,
even if they did, I'm sorry?
yeah. So I'm just reiterating, if they work before and after, yes.
Yeah, as long as they, even if they didn't work or they're not scheduled to work that Monday holiday, for example. Yes.
Or Lizette updated her question. She says, if staff is unable or does not come in to sign or accept or decline on the declination form, how long do we have to wait before we can move forward?
Because they're not responding.
Right.
Is that right? I'd say give them, give them like at least, there's no rule on that, but I would say give them a couple of days, like 2 or 3 days. If they don't answer, you can put it on there, but try anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you should be trying to
put it
call.
on. Yeah, you still try calling them and emailing them.
Okay. Do you count CPTO and COVID time with part-timers towards their 1040?
Say that again.
Do you count the CPTO and COVID time?
Yes.
Yes. They were told last week that it doesn't. So someone asked that.
The COVID time is something that I guess it's a fight as to if it counts or not. But CPTO definitely yes, vacation definitely yes, sick time, holiday, PA if they worked overtime, that UF, the new or FH, the floating holiday, and then PL too, the personal leave, it also counts against 1,040. 19 QL, QI, all that stuff, we're clarifying.
Okay, we'll get back to it. Someone asked, in the past, when we submitted a 900 form, we would rarely hear back from HR and they would remain on payroll. Is there or will there be a 900 form system that is more transparent moving forward?
It shouldn't happen now because of these email addresses that we've created. I think in the past, it just really depends on where it went. And sometimes if the employee already had left and the field doesn't know, then it just went kind of somewhere.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
there's a more
thinking it
streamlined
wasn't
system.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone asked, Christina, we were informed that they can accept as many hours as they want, just as long as they do not work over 39.5 hours a week. So where is it in writing that we can decline them from working at another site if they are working 20 hours a week already?
As long as you can track it, then you have to stop working them after 1,040 hours or 1,039 hours.
I think because the question earlier said if they're at your home site,
yes,
they can only work 20.
But you can.
That in writing.
Right. So you can't. Okay, here's the thing. You have to think of what you also need because you need them at your home park, right? So if you're going to let them work somewhere else, then you have to make sure they don't go over the 1,039 or 1,040 hours. So you have to track that and make sure that you're signing off on a timesheet that has 39.5 every single week. Then you won't have anyone for the rest of the year if you do it that way. But there's
so I guess officially we can't tell them they can't work more than 20. Like they can't go over the 10.
You can actually. You can because you need them. Does that make sense? You can tell them they can't work somewhere else if you need them for the rest of the year. The employee must understand that if they work somewhere else and go 39.50, they're only working 6 months.
Right.
They won't have a job for another 6 months, right? So if they're half-time and we're back to normal, their insurance are going to get affected, and it's about at least 300 something for biweekly for them.
Right. So I guess you can inform them, but is it in writing says that? I'm just wondering. So what if an employee didn't care that it's going to affect? So it's not in writing. So if they want 39.5 and not care about how it affects our program, they could. Technically.
I have to ask an analyst about that because that's an issue where operations versus employees, right? Like you need operations has to continue. So
okay.
I'll ask him.
Okay, so we'll get back on that one. When will the pending hiring employee ID numbers be submitted pre-COVID be released? Is there any additional paperwork we need to?
The EIDs, is that where they're asking, right? If we're approving them? Okay, so we're in the process right now. I'm going through it. I know just a couple of days ago, I emailed the superintendents and the prince for these pending packets just to make sure we are still going to go through with them or not, right? Because some people may not be interested anymore. Some people don't even want to hire these applicants anymore. So we're in the process of that. Like by today, we're going to request the unfreeze for those. See, the thing with recreation and parks is we have to ask the CAO for an unfreeze for every single person that we hire. So as soon as that's approved in the system, hopefully by next week, we should be able to enter them and you would hear from us. Actually, we don't enter them first yet. You'll hear from us first. If they're approved or not, the EID will come up maybe a few days later, but we will let you know when you can start them soon.
So someone said management just told us yesterday that part-time, half-time staff cannot work multiple sites due to COVID. Is this correct?
Yes, actually, yes, that's a DOC question, right? I think the DOC has, or, you know, just because of the pandemic, I think it's a little different this time because you have to stay where you are. Like every
I think
ALT
because of
site,
cohorts. Yeah, we want to
right.
keep cohorts together.
You don't want to spread the virus if it exists in a person. So yes, that still applies as far as that still applies. So whatever the DOC guidance is, we're not going to change that.
Okay. Anita said, will there be a makeup of this training? Oh, I lost it. Oh, you took it off.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, I'll find it.
Will there be?
Yeah, I know several people cannot get in, so we're gonna send this recording out after. Deanne, are we good? I know you had some other questions. You can always talk if you want. If an employee hits 1040 during an accepted work period, how do we assign other staff to cover? And does the 1040 employee get those hours back when they return?
Hours? What do you mean get their hours back?
I don't know, someone asked that. If an employee hits 1040 during an accepted work period, how do we assign other staff to cover? And does the 1040 employee get those hours back when they return? Well, after the anniversary date, they get those hours back, right?
Yeah, every anniversary date, they start from
renew.
scratch. So it's 0, it renews for another year, and they have another 1,040 until their next service year. As far as how do you offer, I would say anyone who's in the,
you go down.
because you have to take them off. Yeah, anyone who's there at that time, because unless you're going to put another bulletin out or offering it. But basically, like if someone, okay, I get the question now, I'm sorry. So if someone went over their 1040 or reaches their 1040 and would take them off, right? Schedule. I think that's what the question is, correct?
I just read how they put it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think that's
they
what the
will
question
get
is.
their previous schedule. Oh,
is that what who asked it? Can someone?
It just says director.
Oh, so if the question is, if we take an employee out after 1,040 hours, right, and you still need someone to work, then you have to go through your roster and see who's next. Now, if you're saying that, what was the chat actually, the last one?
The last one said, so I guess if they lose those hours and they lose their schedule, how do they get their schedule back? But they're kind of giving up their schedule by not.
Yeah, basically, this is why it's not a good idea for them to work more than what they're supposed to.
Right. If they want a consistent schedule, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said, just verifying the leeway period of accepting outdated packet forms extends to June 31st, correct?
Did you read that on the website? Because that one was from last year.
Oh, I don't know. Someone just put down here.
So we will update the that whole first part of.
Yeah, they got it on the website. Yeah. Well, it'll be updated, whoever asked that question. So go back to the website.
Oh, it says yes on the web. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? You guys can unmute if you want to ask or write in the chat.
I had a question, Sonia.
Yes.
Offering, I don't know if that was a question of the 1040, but like right now that before summer camp, some staff cannot accept hours because they reached their 1040. If their anniversary date is in July, I'm guessing that's what they're asking. Are we supposed to give them the hours even though we already had staff working for the program?
No, because you've already filled those hours that were available at that time. You can't take out the others that you just hired or just picked up, like people that, let's say 1,040 hours, they can't come back until July. It has to be if you have any available hours at that time. This is why I said, again, it's not good. It's not a good idea for anyone to really go over their hours.
Got it. And that was the, I agree with Deanne, if we could get it in writing of the, if we can tell staff that they cannot work at another park if they're passing more than 20 hours. Because in previous years, we've been told we can't tell staff. We can't basically tell them not to accept other hours at another park. And we've been told by HR. Basically that the rec assistant has an option of running their hours, and we have to figure out what to do for the rest of, I guess, the year. So it's been told by HR once the union gets involved.
Okay, let me then ask the analyst, because the previous analyst that I actually learned from was the opposite way. So let me ask the analyst, and I'll get back to you on that.
Another question says, are halftime employees who do not work on Sunday or Tuesday of a holiday week get holiday pay?
As long as they work the next shift that they were supposed to. So if they were scheduled that Friday, then it's okay. Does that make sense?
Sonia, I have a question.
You guys can always ask your analyst those specific questions. Go on, Brian.
Yeah, she had mentioned that the 599 employees or 599 or less employees need to be, you need to put a job bulletin out before you offer them hours. That's not, from looking at Article 9, you mixed up the defining hours of the in-house people to the defining hours of outside people.
It actually says in Article 9 that you are to offer it to 600 or more. And if there's nobody in that group, or you still need more staff, that you have to go outside, which includes everyone else, including your seasonal and your 599. If you read it again, so we can actually,
Yeah,
I know Deanna's nodding, but if you actually read it, it's very confusing, the wording, but it actually, that's how it is you have to do 599 or less, like later, with outside, with the whole basically group. The point is, sorry,
that's
go ahead.
outside your home park, but the
Right.
home park, the 599 or less, the rec assistants can be assigned after the half-timers are 600 and more.
No,
People get
no.
offered the hours.
no,
You
that's
don't have
not,
to,
that's not
I did talk to the union rep for the part-timers during this conference. Because of that, I asked her and she says that's not correct. So,
Are you talking about Luciana?
yes.
Okay, I'll call her
spoke to
later, because
Luciana.
it actually says it in the MOU if you read it. It actually says, it specifically says that. So we can't
Okay.
just give it to the 599. So I'll call her later.
Please call her, and if there is a correction, please can you send out a correction so
Yes,
the general body doesn't do it incorrect?
yes.
Thank
So
you.
for years, that's how we've been doing it without the 599. So I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to her.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's a couple other ones I missed. Is turning 18 years old an appropriate justification for transitioning a rec aide to rec assistant?
Yes. Yes. So right now, we didn't really transition anyone the last year. Usually we have kind of a schedule. You can transition anyone to rec assistant from rec aide when they turn 18 before the summer. And once the summer camp actually starts, we don't process anyone from rec aide to rec assistant. And if after the summer camp is done, so we have usually a schedule on that, then we will process them afterwards if you submit a class change packet. But that doesn't make them seasonal. That doesn't make them regular right away. You're just class changing them, and if they need to offer hours later, then you do the offering of hours.
Someone asked, where'd it go? Seasonal rec assistants do not need a bulletin. Is that correct? Or does that only apply to class changes with rec aide to rec assistants?
It does not need a bulletin. I mean, they can accept the hours from a bulletin that's out there, but no, you don't really need one if you're working them during, like, if you're only working them during the season. like winter or, you know, when there's school breaks.
Does a half-timer have to get priority in hours offered if they have not worked 600 hours in the last 3 calendar years?
Their hours don't matter. It's really just their status of halftime. So if they're halftime, you must offer it to them and you go by the anniversary date of their halftime date.
Thank you. If an employee accepts hours that they cannot fulfill for various reasons, including running out of hours, then this at-will employee is basically a no-show?
Not if they decline the hours.
I guess they accepted them, but then they don't do them
They don't do them because
for
Is there
various
any-
reasons. Yeah.
if the reason is they ran out of hours, you knew that, so it's not no show. If they accepted hours and they did not call you and didn't show up for work, then that is a no show. Does that make sense?
Well, ask a couple more, you guys, because these are getting in the weeds, and you guys can ask your analysts if you have specific questions. But is there a requirement to schedule half-time employees according to any hours worked in first and second years?
Is there a what?
Requirement to schedule half-time employees according to any hours worked in the first and second years?
You have to go by the total. So, you know, the first, second, third, those are only so you know where to put them, which roster you need to put them. The total number of hours is what you really have to rank them and look at it, and based on that number, then that's how you rank the employees. Let me know if I'm not understanding some of these questions.
Let's see, one of the last questions here. Just to clarify, if we need to fill a position, we cannot ask for their qualifications, just look at the number of hours worked, even if they do not know how to do the job we are hiring for. Say we need to hire a preschool teacher, we should give the hours to a rec assistant from facility roster, even if they have 0 child development background, and that is a qualification we are looking for.
Correct. That does apply on the 600 or more hours offering of hours. The only time you can actually look at the skills is when you open it up to the field, and those are not your home park 600. So if you are offering to 600 or more, then it is based on their hours, nothing else.
All right. All right, I think we got a lot of questions answered, you guys. Thank you. I'm going to send this out to everybody so you guys can have the recording. And I know Christina has a couple of things she's going to get back to us on, so we'll send that out to you as well. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to Christina Arakaki or your analyst. So she gave you a list of who analysts are for your area if you have a specific question to one of your employees. So hopefully this helps. Thank you guys. Have a good day and have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys. And you can email me anytime if you guys have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.